Come along with me while I learn how to make ugali and sukuma wiki from Kenyan chef William. These staple Kenyan dishes are quick, simple, and satisfying. Hello, I'm Catherine. Bryan's behind the camera, and we are thrilled to bring Chef William to you today. If you watched our previous video, then you'll know that we recently traveled to Kenya for an amazing eco-safari with Gamewatchers Safaris. And while we were staying at their incredible Ugali Safari cottages, we were treated to delicious plant-based meals by Chef William and his team. Chef was generous enough to invite us into his kitchen and teach me how to make ugali and sukuma wiki. Ugali is a really simple, thick Kenyan porridge made from maize flour or cornmeal, and sukuma wiki are collard greens, which are quickly cooked with onion, garlic, and tomato. And both of these dishes are traditionally served together and often enjoyed in the same bite.
I'm just going for it. Here we go.
So they are both really simple to make. They only take a few ingredients and a few minutes of your time. So let's make them. Chef William started with a sukuma wiki, and sukuma wiki typically refers to collard greens, but Chef was actually using spinach. And since being home, I've tried this recipe with green kale, and I've really enjoyed that. So you could really use any sturdy green that you like. And I'm using raw collards today, but Chef was actually using spinach that looked like it had been previously blanched and then frozen. So this could be really convenient, and you could use frozen spinach. Since I'm using raw collard greens today, I've washed these and I'm tearing the leaves away from the stems. And these stems I set aside, and I usually use them for another recipe. Usually I just chop them up small and put them in a stir fry or something. And then with the leaves, I stack them on top of each other, roll them into like a cigar shape, and then just slice them as thinly as I can. And then once I have these sliced, I will chop them just a little bit in this direction so that the slivers aren't super long. And while I finish this up, you can watch the first little knife skills lesson that Chef William gave me about how to curl your fingers while you're chopping to protect them.
You hold like this, you know, when you hold your knife, it helps you not to sign so that cannot cut you. So you can do it
Without even looking,
yeah,
I know.
So you can put it.
Yeah, I'm not that good, but I'll go like this.
Yeah, like that. Perfect. Quick learner.
Good teacher.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Chef also told me that he cooks the onion for a couple of minutes before adding the garlic, because onion takes a little longer to cook than garlic does. So onion first, you said?
Yeah.
And this is a tip that I have learned before, but I confess to being a little lazy sometimes, and I tend to just toss them in at the same time. But garlic can burn. The garlic can burn really quickly. So if you can hold off on adding the garlic, let your onion cook for a few minutes for the best results. Warm a bit of vegetable oil in a large skillet over medium-low heat. I'm only using about half a tablespoon, and add a third a cup or 45 grams of chopped red onion. Cook for 3 minutes or so until softened and fragrant. Add 2 to 4 cloves of minced garlic and cook for another 1 to 2 minutes, stirring frequently. Next, add about 150 grams diced tomato, which is about 2 smaller tomatoes. Cook for 5 minutes or so until the tomatoes have softened. Another knife skills tip, Chef told me to chop up some tomato. So I diced a tomato like I know how to dice a tomato, and he showed me how to do it better. Do you do this?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
See, I gotta put my fingers properly.
Yeah. So that you cannot cut yourself.
Yes. So like this.
So I want to show you another way so that next time
Okay.
it will be easier for
It'll
you.
be better?
Yeah, I know you have struggled a lot there.
Okay, so in half first.
Yeah, this one is perfect. That's
Okay.
the other one.
Nice, yeah.
So I'm fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So knife skills 101, if you can get a vegetable to lay flat instead of being all wobbly, then you will be able to slice it in the safest and quickest way. Next, add the finely chopped leaves from one bunch of collard greens. These were about 140 grams for me. Speaking of grams, Chef knows exactly how many grams his palm holds. That is when you know that you cook a lot and you move fast in the kitchen.
Somewhere here.
100 grams.
Yeah, 100 grams.
So mine maybe
Yeah, somewhere here.
75, 80?
Yeah.
Chef let the spinach cook with the other veggies for about 5 minutes to heat everything through, and then he splashed in a little bit of soy milk.
I would want this soy milk because the spinach they usually be bitter sometimes.
Spinach can be bitter, yeah.
Right.
So that's why just find that.
So milk or cream. Added a pinch of salt, or a chef's pinch of salt, which was about 3 of my pinches of salt. Is that too much?
Another one.
Yeah.
Like 2 to 3. Yeah. Perfect.
Great. And he crushed up a vegetable bouillon cube to season the veggies. Since I'm using raw collards and I don't usually have bouillon cubes, I change this part up a little bit. And I actually dissolve about a 1/4 teaspoon of this bouillon paste into a 1/4 cup of water. And that broth helps to cook down the collards and season at the same time. Season the greens with a pinch or 2 of salt, and if using fresh greens, splash in a 1/4 cup vegetable broth to help them cook down. If you're using blanched greens and have bouillon cubes, you can crumble a bouillon cube right over top of the greens. Finally, splash in 2 tablespoons soy milk to help reduce any bitterness from the greens. Cook for an additional minute or so, and give it a taste to see if it needs any more salt.
Yeah.
Not bitter at all.
Yes.
Yep. Remove from the heat and stir up some quick ugali to enjoy alongside your delicious sukuma wiki. Fantastic. Okay, now for the ugali, you will need fine white cornmeal, which will cook very, very quickly. Water, salt, and a bit of vegan butter, just to add some richness to the porridge. We'll start by boiling the water.
750? Yeah, 750.
Okay. Add 3 cups of water to a medium-sized pot, cover, and bring to a boil. Make sure your pot is in a location on your stove where you will be able to easily stir once we add the cornmeal in. Chef recognized our height difference and moved the pot to a closer burner for me, but spoiler alert, it didn't help me very much, but we'll get there.
Wow. You're trying.
First, he added in some salt and a fat source, which was a vegetable shortening margarine type of product. Once the water has boiled, add 3/4 teaspoon salt and 1.5 tablespoons of vegan butter. Reduce the heat to low and stir until the vegan butter is melted. Next, very slowly and gradually, add 1.5 cups or 210 grams maize flour or fine white cornmeal, stirring quickly. I like to use a wire whisk at first to help minimize any clumps from forming. And then when the porridge starts to get a little too thick for the whisk, I switch to a wooden spoon. Chef used a spoon the whole time, but when I asked if I could use a whisk just at the start, he said that I could do whatever makes it easier for me. So I find that this method of starting with a whisk minimizes how many clumps form. And the next step of making this is to press out any clumps that have formed in the cornmeal against the side of the pot while you're stirring. And stirring this cornmeal takes a lot of force. So if I can minimize how much I need to exert during this next step, then I'll do that. Now I need my muscles.
Yeah, you can just strengthen your muscles there. Wow. You're trying. Perfect.
With all of the maize flour or cornmeal added, stir it well, scraping along the sides and bottom to make sure it's all incorporated. As you stir, press the porridge against the sides of the pot to press out any clumps that have formed. Continue stirring and cooking the porridge for about 5 minutes until it starts pulling away from the sides of the pot and holding its shape. Spread the porridge flat in the pot and cook for another 2 minutes without stirring. Remove from the heat. Chef also said that the spoon was too big for me, so that was making it harder for me to stir, but even at home with my smaller spoon, it's still an arm workout.
You gave me the hardest bit.
I've been working. Look, there's a mound. Now to finish this up, I didn't see how Chef William prepared the ugali for serving, but he did tell me earlier in the day that he uses aluminum foil to roll it into a cylinder and then slices it into rounds. So can you be creative with how you serve it?
Yeah.
You can make it your own way?
Yes.
Okay. I have also seen people just form a mound from it and form it into pie-shaped slices online. So I'm going to try to form half of this into a cylinder and slice it into rounds, and with the other half, I'll try and create some pie-shaped slices. Run a rubber spatula around the ugali and turn it out onto a plate. Press it into an even disc and cover to keep warm. When ready to serve, slice the disc into pie-shaped pieces. Alternatively, roll the warm ugali into a smooth cylinder. Use a silicone mat or aluminum foil to help protect your hands and smooth out the ugali. Keep the ugali warm until serving, and then slice into discs. Serve ugali with Sukuma Wiki and enjoy it the traditional way. Mold a piece of ugali into a natural spoon and use it to scoop up the delicious Sukuma Wiki.
Wow.
William approves.
Delicious.
Yeah.
I think I did good.
Yeah.
Looks like Kenyan here.
Yeah,
This is
fun.
exciting. All right.
Do you want to eat it the traditional way, or are you going to fork
let's
and...
go. I mean, this is a true glasses off because your hands are going to get messy. So that's
I already have this one formed.
okay. I can
yeah.
form my own. Let me see. So we tear. Oh,
We'll use this. Yeah.
I'm already off to a bad start. But now we're going to mash it, right?
I don't know, you usually use a fork to eat it, and you can of course use a fork to
I did.
get a bit of both.
Yeah. So we mash it. No.
Yeah.
Oh, right. But then we're not using a fork. We're eating it traditionally. I don't think I've done this right.
Yeah, there you go. Just do it.
I'm just going for it. Here we go. Tastes great, Catherine. So simple. Nothing to it. Do I have stuff in my face?
No, you're good. I love how easy these are, and I think they're pretty versatile.
Yeah. And a fun
Like-
way to get some greens in, you know?
Yeah, instead of having a salad or something, you could just make this on the side. And even kind of how we have like our sautéed beet greens,
Yeah.
you could just jazz those up a bit with some more ingredients and sort of do the same kind of thing. And then I feel like this ugali, I would make, because it's so quick, even for something like a chili where I might make cornbread, but if I don't have the time to make cornbread, we could just have this as like a filler on the side.
And the collards taste great in the Sukuma Wiki.
Yeah, and they're not that bitter.
No, they're not bitter. No, no, no.
Yeah, sometimes I find that the collards turn out a little more bitter than like kale even, and definitely spinach. But this one, I guess that little splash of milk is a nice little chef's tip for how to decrease the bitterness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get some on a fork for the next bits. And the best thing for both of these is to serve them right away if you can. And because they're quick enough to make, it's pretty easy to do that. The Sukuma Wiki would be easy enough to heat up just before. We have had the ugali once it gets cold though, and even after being in the fridge. And we've just eaten it cold. The texture gets really firm. It's almost kind of like a soft kind of a brick of mozzarella, you know, and you can sort of like bend it. Isn't it sort of like...
It's been a long time, but
It's almost like cheese, the texture. So that's kind of cool. But we don't have a microwave. So to heat these up, if we do have leftovers, what we've been doing is steaming it. So just putting it in a steaming basket for like 2 minutes. And it gets a little soggier, but it does a good job at heating it through.
this is really cheap, right?
It's pretty cheap. So the ugali costs us $1.15 and the Sukuma Wiki is about $4.40. That'll change depending on the types of greens that we're using. But a handy thing about that too is that you probably noticed that Chef William used a much larger quantity of spinach than I used of the collards. So you could just make this recipe go a little further by just boosting up how many greens you're using and not necessarily increasing the other onion and garlic and the tomatoes, and it'll just be more dense with greens.
Tell everybody what's coming up next.
Next week we're making chapati.
Oh my goodness, the chapati. I'm telling you.
It's so good. So the next recipe that Chef William taught me to make was chapati. And we have a roti recipe that's here on YouTube and it's on the blog and it does really well for us. A lot of you love it. It's a 2-ingredient, really simple roti. And this chapati takes that up a notch.
And what are you pairing the chapati with?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna make, I don't know if I'll show you like step by step how to make it, but the recipe will be on the blog. I'm gonna make some githeri, which is beans and corn in like a tomato sauce. So a little like curry stewed beans to go on the side.
Really simple, really easy.
If you haven't watched our full-length safari video, then head there because you're in for an hour of absolute amazing animal encounters and cooking with William and all the great plant-based food that we ate while we were there. So don't miss out on lion cubs and baby giraffes,
But
right?
in the meantime, like, comment, share, make some Sukuma Wiki, make some ugali, and next week tune in because we're making chapati and gatheri.
And these recipes are linked in the description below for you.
Yeah, this is so good. I'm gonna cheat though and use a fork.
You're not as stressed eating it.
Don't waste anything.